Brad Biggs of the Chicago Union Tribune joining me now here on the Rich Eisen Show. Brad, how bad is it in Chicago right now?
Well, the fans are mighty disappointed right now with the performance of this football team because the feeling going into this year is that the Bears were going to be in strong contention in the NFC North and maybe the conference as a whole. I mean, everybody was pointing to a playoff run by this football team based on the progress made by the offense a year ago and then some pretty sizable investments for the defense and free agency in terms of signing three defensive ends to help get after the quarterback a little bit. But it has turned sour for the Bears right now. The defense has not played well. That's not a big surprise, but this offense has been very poor for them, and that's very concerning and puzzling. They've got an offensive head coach. They've got a quarterback that's making more money than any player in the National Football League this season, and the bulk of their salary cap investments are on the offensive side of the ball.
This is Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune, the Trib as it's known in Chicago, joining me here.
No union.
I know, no union. I got latex. I'll explain that in a moment.
Free shop.
I know that. We've got Chicago Tribune, Brad Biggs, joining me here on the program. And Brad, I mentioned last week, because, you know, everybody's looking for, in the fan base, for somebody to blame. Now, Brandon Marshall's put himself out there. And I mentioned how him appearing on Showtime when the team is down, even though he is saying, I find it unacceptable, and he's doing what a lot of fans appreciate, which is giving voice to their anger. That said, him then going on an off day and appearing on a television show, I mentioned that this is going to eventually turn on him. And Kurt Warner mentioned this on game day morning on Sunday, that for somebody to say, we're not doing very well, and then on his off day, which he can do whatever he wishes to do, fly somewhere and appear on a television show is going to be a problem. Is that a problem, or is that just a media thing that's being discussed right now?
Well, I think it's an issue. The Bears don't want to admit that it is an issue, but how is it all about the team? How is Brandon Marshall fully committed to being a member of a team that reaches the playoffs for the first time in his career? Okay, Brandon has never played in the postseason when his focus for the Tuesday day off is getting on a private jet, going to New York, doing a television show where it's about me, and then flying back to Chicago. Now, are there some outs in his deal where if he's injured, he can beg off and not show up? Absolutely, that stuff is in there, but yeah, that's been a head scratcher from the start. You know, linebacker Lance Briggs asked for a personal day for Mark Trestman on the Monday before the start of the regular season, and he used that to open up a restaurant in Sacramento, California, missing practice. So there's been some puzzling things that way for this football team this season as well, and these wouldn't be issues if they were producing on the field, but they have not won a football game at home. They're one of only 3 teams to be winless at home, joining the Raiders and the Buccaneers, and that is terrible company to keep in the NFL these days.
So whose fault is it, Brad? I mean, not that this matters, I guess, right now when there's still half a season to go and there's no reason to pack it in. You're just 3-5, and you do have the Packers coming off of a bye. So perhaps the Bears can rebound from this. But so far, I mean, what would you place your finger on? Because, you know, I know we just talked about Brandon Marshall with Inside the NFL, but I don't think you're pointing any fingers at Brandon with what he's done on the field so far this year.
No. But Brandon's performance on the field hasn't been real hot either. He was not very open against the Patriots yesterday, and they're excellent. I believe number 1 in the league against the pass right now. So maybe that's not a real good indicator, but it's probably not also a good indicator when the Bears throw the ball all over the field against the woeful Atlanta Falcons. If you're trying to assign blame, I can tell you that locally the fans want defensive coordinator Mel Tucker out. If they were served up Mel Tucker's head today, the fans would have been happy. But as I said in the beginning here, Rich, the problems run deeper than that. The offense is supposed to win football games for the Bears this season. The formula was get a lead, and then get after the quarterback with these defensive ends that they signed in free agency and play with the lead. Well, the Bears have had double-digit deficits at halftime in 4 of their 8 games, so the formula is not working. So the offense is the issue. So I'd look at Trestman, I'd look at the quarterback, and then Phil Emery said, he's part of the 3-5 record right now as well. That everyone in the building right now is kind of carrying a 3-5 record, and that's how you judge them. Can they turn this thing around? I don't know. The Packers have a bye as well, so they're going to get extra time to get ready for the Bears. Jay Cutler is 1-9 in his career starting against the Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
If they lose that and go to 3-6, you're talking about needing about a month of consistent football to climb back to 500.
Wow. And then you talk about the formula about the defensive ends who they signed to go rush the passer. One of them is now out for the season after celebrating a sack with 3 minutes to go in the game, down 25 with Lamar Houston. That one's a head scratcher, as well as just leaves a pit in your stomach that somebody is done for the season off of something like that, Brad.
Yeah, and that's just a real tough break for the Bears. They signed Lamar to a big contract, $14.9 million guaranteed. He's guaranteed $5.95 million next year. He's probably not going to be back on the football field until training camp. At this point, they signed Jared Allen. He's got 1.5 sacks. Willie Young has been a terrific discovery for him. He has 7 sacks. He's come over from the Lions and played some pretty good football for him, but they haven't had enough opportunities to get after the quarterback because they've been trying to play catch up, and the offense has kind of put them in a hole in a lot of these games, and you'll get readers that'll say, well, the defense isn't stopping everyone. Well, when you fall down 10-0, 14-0 right away, the defense hasn't done its job, but the offense going 3 and punt or picking up 1 first down and then giving the ball away is a bigger part of the problem, because, as I said, they've made the major investments for this organization on offense. That's how they are supposed to win football games. And one thing they talked about today that they are going to get corrected in the second half of the season is the run-pass ratio has been out of whack. They will run the football more with Matt Forte in the second half of the season.
Brad, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You bet. That's Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.